I'm Charlotte. I'm the rider at Holness Connemara's, and this is our lovely Frodo. So the reason for this video is we recently took part in the Morton Russell 3-day event, but before we competed there, we didn't really know what was involved with roads and tracks and steeplechase, sort of how they all came together. And although we've done lots of research on the Riding Club website, listening to podcasts, watching vlogs, none of them really kind of explained how they all work. So I'm hoping to put this video together to try and explain it for anyone else in the same situation.
Frodo and I were competing in the 90 centimetre 3-day event, and on the Friday it started off with the dressage. Frodo produced a lovely test to score 24.3, which put us into 4th place going into day 2. Later that morning, I was then able to walk the roads and tracks and steeplechase, and Morton Russell had kindly put on a guided walk with the event rider, Tim Cheffings. At the start of the event, we were provided the distance, speed and optimum time for each phase, so I decided to walk all the phases with the Coursewalk app. Just a note, Morton Russell decreased the speed of the steeplechase and cross-country due to the hard ground and to take into account that people won't have been able to do much fast work. Phase A is the first of the roads and tracks. It's shorter and used as a warm-up for Phase B, the steeplechase. When walking it with my app, I took photos of the area when I'd reached the quarter, halfway mark and 3/4 mark as marked as jumps on the photo. This was so I could reference my timings, but in the end the first roads and tracks were so short that I only noted down the halfway marker.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Good luck.
I set off at a trot and did a bit of canter, which meant I got to the halfway mark way sooner than I had timed, but this meant we could do more walking in the second half to get Frodo's heart rate down before the steeplechase. Once we'd reached the end of Phase A, we had a compulsory minute wait, which meant I could restart my watch before I was then counted down for the steeplechase at Phase B. Steeplechase was basically as fast as Frodo's little legs could go. It was 2 laps with 6 steeplechase fences in total, and this phase I used normal minute markers. Now the finish of Phase B is the start of Phase C, which is the final roads and tracks. If you are quick, you could restart your watch for Phase C, but the advice Tim gave us was just to keep your watch going and add the timings of Phase B and Phase C together, and then work out your total timing for these 2 phases. I hope that makes sense. Again, as we had the total distance of Phase C, when I walked this phase, I worked out roughly where the quarter, halfway and 3/4 distances would be, so I could use them as references for my timings. Morton had put a marker at the halfway point, and I think it's quite common at other 3-day events that you get markers at each kilometre. Phase C is a lot slower than Phase A, so we did a lot more walking with the odd bit of trot or canter up any hills. I noted down all the timings for the phases on a piece of paper and taped it to my arm. The last few yards of Phase C we had to trot so that the vet could check that Frodo was sound, and then once over the finish line the vet checked his heart rate. We then had an obligatory 10-minute wait, and during that waiting period the vets had to check Frodo's heart rate again to make sure it had gone down before we could go cross-country. There was lots of water provided, so I got off, took his saddle off and then washed him off to try and cool him down and bring his heart rate down. Thankfully all was okay, so we were allowed to go cross country, and for this final phase I used my normal minute markers.
Good boy, Frodo.
Frodo was absolutely awesome, and we went clear, adding nothing to our dressage score, and so we moved up into 3rd going into the final day.
Frodo Baggins. So come past in front of the control box, heading towards the fencing centre at 3. Meanwhile, coming back home and towards the Nordwall Farm Supplies is Bethany Moxham riding a Smart Lady.
Just another note to say that during phases A, B and C, you can't get time penalties for going too fast, but the whole idea is to pace yourselves so that your horse lasts for the cross country. You do get time penalties if you go over any of the optimum times. For the cross country phase, it's a normal 15-second period, so you can get time penalties for going too fast or too slow like a normal event. I just love the way Frodo pings this final cross-country fence even after completing 2 lots of roads and tracks and steeplechase.
Good boy.
On the Sunday, we did our trot up first thing in the morning, and thankfully Frodo passed. I had planned a more exciting trot up outfit, as there was a best dressed prize, but the weather forecast said thunderstorms, so I opted for this so I could throw a raincoat over the top, but luckily the rain never came.
Number you? 158 next.
Alright, for 156. Charlotte, with Holness, Frodo. I'll tell you what to do.
When it came to show jumping, we jumped in reverse order, which created a bit of buzz at the end. As Frodo was lying third after cross country, he was third from last to jump in his section. The course was causing a few poles, as I think horses were tired from the day before, so the pressure was building. Frodo did what he had to do and went clear, so we finished the competition on our dressage score and in second place. We didn't have any videos of the prize giving, but I just had to include this photo as it shows just how small Frodo is.
So I hope this video has helped, and if you have any questions, please feel free to contact us. We are Holness Connemara's on both Facebook and Instagram. And lastly, I just want to say a big thank you to all the organisers and helpers who put on all these 3-day events for us. You know, they do require so many people to be involved, so we are really grateful. And lastly, good luck if you're doing a 3-day. They are so much fun, and if you are thinking of doing one, do look at Morton Russell. It is a brilliant way to sort of get used to or get your eye in for roads and tracks and steeplechase without it being a championship or an affiliated event. So yeah, thank you.